Hi, I'm Lucy, and I'm an artist from New Zealand. And right now, you're watching one of my workshops or tutorials where I'm sharing all of my real life insights into growing my own art business. I've been doing this for the last 8 years, and I found it really challenging at times with the lack of information or openness of other artists to share how to actually create an authentic business that feels like me. And this is what I'm trying to do now is pass the knowledge and learnings that I have found along the way onto you to help you with growing your own art business because I truly believe it's possible to do what you love for a living. And the world needs your art more than ever. So I hope you enjoy this. If you love it, drop me a comment and tell me what you think. It's always great for me to hear what you think and what you found useful. And of course, subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more. I release one of these generally every week. Hey there, I hope you're really well. Friday for me here in New Zealand. So I hope you're heading into the weekend with some exciting things happening. Today I am putting together my weekly free training that I always do for you. And today I want to talk about the awareness that we need to have around the words that we use. So the words we use, either whether, if we're talking about the words we're thinking in our heads or the things we're saying out loud to others, are really powerful, and they can either, well, they make or break the outcomes that we would really like to achieve. So I'm going to give you a few examples of what I mean by this, both in the sense of what you're saying to yourself and, whether you're actually being kind to yourself and positive and allowing yourself to create those outcomes, or whether you're a bit hard on yourself, which most of us tend to be. But secondly, the things you say to potential buyers. So we have the ability to either really draw people in and get them believing in what we're doing and what we've made, or we've got the power to completely put them off, unintentionally most times. But I've heard a lot of artists, whether I've just been at exhibitions or um, just in general conversation, really talking in a way that I think really creates a negative connotation towards what they're creating. And I think we can really allow ourselves to open ourselves up to more sales if we tweak and change and flip the things that we say. So first of all, I've created this little guide for you. Like I like to create a little free resource for you each week. This is a guide just to remind yourself of these two things: the words that you use with yourself and the words that you speak with potential collectors. So first of all, we're going to just touch a bit on what you say to yourself, the words that you use in your own mind when you're creating or when you're thinking about selling, and what comes up for you. So I've got a couple of prompts here for you to reflect on, and I'm just going to talk you through those. So what's the first thing you tell yourself when something doesn't go to plan? So this is a real easy one to, some examples are, you entered an exhibition and you didn't sell the amount of art you wanted, or you didn't sell anything. Do you immediately say, that was a disaster, I know I shouldn't have done this, I'm not ready? Or do you perhaps go, well, I didn't find the right buyers here. Maybe it wasn't the right place for me. I will try something different. So there's a way that we can reframe things, that even things that don't go to plan, in a positive light. It's about seeing, in this scenario, it as a redirection rather than a failure. The second thing is, do you speak to yourself like a friend or a critic? So we're often very kind to other people and we're very positive and we'll big them up. But when it comes to ourselves, we kind of talk to ourselves like we're a critic in the newspaper who just hates our work. It's really a strange phenomenon, but I think we all do this. So just consider, if you're somebody who's had a conversation with a friend or a fellow artist recently and you've really encouraged them, do you say similar things to yourself? The third thing is, when you talk about your art or your art business, are you using words like trying or hoping, struggling, or are you being more affirmative in what you're in your doing words? So am I creating, learning, growing? Those are far more positive and really emphasize the fact that you are taking steps forward and you're making things happen. How does your energy change when you replace I have to with I get to? So this is a really easy thing to do when it comes to the things we don't really want to be doing at an art business. And an example of that might be marketing or social media. But those things become easier and more positive if you start to see them in a different light. So instead of, oh, I have to do my social media post tonight, it might be, I get to share what I've done this week, and that's really exciting. So again, it's rephrasing not only the things you say to yourself in the way that you believe in yourself, but the way you frame certain activities that feel difficult or challenging. What's one phrase you can commit to removing from your vocabulary this week? I try and do this every now and then where I consider what am I saying over and over again that's perhaps holding me back, and I really make a conscious effort to try and stop saying those things or change it. And finally, what's one phrase that you can add to your vocabulary that uplifts and empowers you? So what's one thing, and it might be an affirmation that you've seen recently. A real simple one is the world needs my art. The world needs what I have to offer. Really simple, but this is a really great one when you're feeling low. I often say this to myself if I'm a bit down on myself. The world needs what I have to offer. And that's just a really empowering, clear statement that I have to keep going because the world needs this. And I've created some examples at the end here around how you can reframe your language. So if you're not kind of too sure what I'm alluding to here and whether you're doing things like this, here's just some examples. I can't seem to sell my art. Very common thing for artists to say. The new way that you can phrase this is I'm learning how to connect with more buyers. So at this point, maybe I've not sold a lot of art, but I'm learning and I'm going to get there. I'm learning how to find and connect with new buyers. I'm not good at marketing. I'm practicing sharing my work more confidently. I'm doing this. I'm making it happen. I'm going to continue growing through that doing. No one wants my art. I'm still finding my people and they are out there. So that goes back to that really empowering affirmation. You know, that's actually a really good one to have as well. I'm still finding my people. They are out there. So this is all about awareness of how you're talking to yourself and the words that you're using around both the way you see your talent and your art, but also the things you're doing each day that may feel difficult or, oh, why am I doing this? If it comes to marketing and other activities that can feel sticky. Okay, we're going to jump into section 2, which is all about how you're talking and conversing with other buyers. Okay, so speaking about your art with confidence. This is just so important and something I actually do a lot as a side note before we jump into these bits and pieces is I often, before an event or before something I'm doing where I know I'm speaking, for example, I've got my art going into a new gallery space in Auckland that's opening at the end of this month, and the owner wants me to do a little talk on the opening night, and that could be in front of 80 people. So those things can be really nerve-wracking, whether you're, I'm relatively confident at speaking now after many years of practice, but that still makes me feel a bit nervous. And so what I will do before that is I'll really think about, okay, what kind of positive language am I going to share about the pieces that are there? How can I talk about my art in a way that's really clear and succinct and again, using very language that really allows the belief I have in myself to be contagious, because that's what we're always trying to do with others, make them really believe in the belief you have in yourself. And that's why that first part is so important. If you don't have the self-belief, others will really struggle to have that too. So remember that belief is contagious. So jumping back to the prompts I've got here, the first one is, how do I describe my art in a way that feels genuine and lights me up when I say it? So that's what I'm talking about there is how do you emanate that belief so that when people are talking like, wow, she's really passionate and she loves what she does and I really love it too, and oh, we just got to have it. Second one, what are 3 positive confident phrases I can use when someone asks about my work? So that's what I was alluding to before. What are 2 or 3 things that just describe what you do really clearly and they're like your go-to? So if somebody said, oh, what kind of art do you create, which is a very common lead up to, oh, I'm an artist. So having those in your toolkit and you're just in the back of your mind are really, really good. It's your elevator pitch. What I mean by that is if you get in an elevator with somebody and they ask what you do and you've got 30 seconds or a minute to tell them, what are the two things that you tell them? The third thing is, how can you replace apologetic language? Oh, it's just a small piece with language that values your art. So this piece really captures the energy of this bird, even though it's just, the face, the energy of and spirit and tenacity of the tui really shows through because they've just got this really majestic look in their eye, and that's what this piece really captures. So that's just an example I just made up on the spot there, but you are framing something that might be small. Small is not necessarily bad. It can be very powerful. So you're trying to find the power and the positivity even in a small piece, or even in a piece that perhaps deep down you weren't quite as happy with the outcome. On that note, the pieces I've often been the most unhappy with are the ones that sell the fastest. So that's a real big lesson too. Don't assume the things that you think aren't quite good enough are what others think too. Really continue to talk this positive self-talk with everything you create and share. How can I describe my creative process in a way that shares joy, curiosity, or meaning? So this is about storytelling. I talk about this a lot. A lot, because it really is marketing. Everything about marketing, whether it's just having a conversation with someone face to face or putting a post up online, the stories behind what you do are so connecting. It's the thing that will make people, if they might like it, and then that story pushes them over the line. So they're like, wow, that's so amazing. I really relate to this. So really consider that. What words help buyers imagine owning or connecting with my art? So what does this piece bring? A lot of my work is very striking and almost has like a movement. So for me, it's like these are real wow factor pieces that you put it in your dining room. You have people have dinner, they're going to be talking about it because you can't not help but not see it. It's got impact. It's got bold colors, brightness. It makes you feel like you're out on the water because of the greens that pop out at you. So how can you really think about the things that your art will bring to somebody's home, to their space? And finally, how can I replace hesitation with confidence? So, if you're interested, I would love to help you find the perfect piece. So I've got this one and I've got a number of others similar. So I can show you that as well, because I think by the sounds of it, the style is really resonating with you and could really work with this particular room you're talking about. So you're being really affirmative without being pushy. So you're not just going, if you're interested, just give me a call. You really want to move it forward in the sense of going, well, I can help you find the perfect thing, thing for the space that you've been looking for years. Let's do this. Let's make this happen right now. So again, I've got some reframe examples. So what you might be saying now versus how you can change that. So I know it's expensive. You can turn that to, it's a special piece. So many hours went into this. It's so much love. You don't have to focus on the price as being negative, or that might put you off. Focus on it being, well, the price is because this is so incredibly unique and special. I'm not sure if anyone will like it. I in the past myself, I've heard people saying, I'm not so sure about, it's not my best work. I've done better. And that immediately makes the person go, oh, well, then it's not, I don't want to have it if you don't think it's good enough or your best work. So frame it. This one feels really true to me. I can't wait to see who connects with it. So, you might be talking to somebody, this might be something you say to yourself alongside the person you're speaking with. They might be like, I really like this and this one. And you might be talking about a particular piece of going, well, this one, in fact, is really, I'm very, very fond of it because of this. I can't wait to see who ends up taking it home. And again, that's not pushy. It's just affirming with the belief you have in what you've made and how you think someone is going to be very smart and very happy if they have it in their home. And the final one I've got here, if you're interested, let me know. If this piece speaks to you, I'd love to help you make it yours. This is a great one to put in messages too. So again, it's not just a, oh, if you want it, let me know. It's a, if you really love this, let me know, let me know, and let's figure out how to make it yours. And you just let them respond in the way that feels right. But you are helping them along the way of being into a place where they really want to own it. So these are just examples of how you can talk about your art with confidence that is really affirmative and really opens the conversation up for the person to go, you know what, I do love it. How can I pay? If it's an expensive piece, can I pay a deposit now and then pay the rest, and in a month or however you might. There might be a myriad of conversations that come up around those things. I've done all sorts of arrangements with clients, safeguarding myself, of course. Some pay me $1,000 on the day. They just fall in love with it. They're like, oh, can I come back in 2 weeks and give you the rest of the cash and pick up the painting then? Yes, of course. Let's do that. So they are some examples of how important it is to talk about your art with confidence and the change or the shift that it can make. In other words, does it mean you make a sale or does it mean you lose the sale? And I don't want you to see that as a, oh God, what am I saying? What am I saying? And put all this pressure on yourself. But I think this is again, practice. The more you talk like this, the more it just becomes normal. I talk about myself with belief and I love my art and I tell people I love what I've created and the reasons why I think it could be amazing in their home based on what they told me. And I believe it. It's not me just putting a sales pitch together. This is me being authentic in the sense of I believe what I make and that is picked up by that person. So the last thing I have in this guide is some suggestions for daily language check-in. So this is just about habit building, and like I say, it's just about practicing a different way of talking to yourself and other people when you talk about your art. So there's 3 things that you could include in a daily practice as ideas. So in the morning, write one empowering phrase to yourself. So we talked about that before, about how you can have something that you remind yourself of each day. It might be something you put on your wall. The world needs my art. I'm currently practicing my marketing or practicing doing these things as I'm going to find the right buyers soon. I'm going to find the people who connect with my art soon. So whatever you are grappling with, it might, there'll be different things that you've caught yourself saying perhaps and how you want to rephrase that into your daily affirmation. The second thing is maybe during the day, just be really conscious of the things that are popping into your mind. So when I'm having a day where I'm doubting myself, and we all have those, I literally go, what am I saying here? And I catch myself and I go, no, I'm not doing that. We're flipping that. And this is a really good habit to get into as well. And finally, in the evening, reflect on some words that made you feel the strongest and most aligned. So when you start telling yourself things, you'll feel something that feels really good. And that energy is what you're trying to recreate every day. You won't be able to do it every minute of every day because it's impossible. But if you can create this a lot, you start to feel really good, really aligned, and you'll start to be a bit of a magnet for the things that you really want to be creating in your life. So there's 3 ideas. I hope you found this really useful. This really is foundational. This is like, and this is foundational for all life, right? The way you talk to yourself. There's a great quote: "The words we speak become the house that we live in." We create our reality with the things that we say, both in our heads and out loud. So I really recommend you consider these. Again, print this out if it will help you. And if you know that you're really hard on yourself and perhaps that's reflected in things you say about your art, really, really hone in on this because it will completely change the way you show up for yourself and the way that you show up at different events where you might be sharing your work. All right, thanks so much and have a great weekend.